We got this gentleman, and you guys, he doesn't need an introduction, but yes, he does need an introduction because of the respect that we all should show. Because become a senior vice president is not easy. Being an RD is not easy. Being an RVP is definitely not easy. So he's a man of faith. He's a man of vision. He is a coach, yes, a mentor, and what I would consider a true influence, not just slide the hand influence. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, and now they got different names for it. He's also a father, a community leader. He's also what I call a Star Wars Yoda. He's a Yoda of ACN. He's a top 100 influence in the state of California, not just the city of LA, but the state of California. And I tell you what, he restores hopes in people, and I would call him the ambassador of all ambassadors, and that's universal. Without further ado, my dear friend, with the best promotion I've ever seen in ACN, you know how I feel about that, the one and only Mr. Byron Nelson.
How are you, sir?
Man, I am doing spectacular today. I am so blessed to be alive.
You know, I feel the same way.
Every morning, God, hallelujah, hallelujah.
I'm gonna tell you, I've been working around the clock. It's just, and it's funny. Somebody had called and asked, "Did you go to sleep?" I said, "I normally sleep. It's not. I don't. And I want to be responsible in this conversation because a lot of people know I can go 2-3 days without sleep. You know, many of you have been up with me for 2 or 3 days without sleep. And as I've evolved and I got older, I think a little bit wiser, more so than anything else, I don't want to give the perception that you have to give up sleep to be successful. In fact, in order to be successful, you're going to need sleep. Because lack of sleep is, it's really, you have to know your rhythm, your body, and how you actually operate. So before I just tell you that I didn't get any sleep, you also got to understand, I don't have a job. So in not having a job and not having to do anything but what I want to do, I'm able to sleep for the 2 days that I didn't sleep, another 2 days when people don't hear from me, and sleep. So is that making sense? Are you guys following me on that so far? I want to make sure, so I want to be responsible in that conversation. So a lot of people like, so I got to go with no sleep, and I've actually had people, because people will do what you do, not what you say, and they'll hear and see and believe. Because, you know, leaders, they don't tell you when they take off. They just, you know, that's not their job. Because usually when the leader takes off, the army behind it or their following, they duplicate that, but they never put in the work to become the leader, so they never earn the right to take off. So it's supposed to be where the leader is leading to duplicate himself, to have I call him a replacement killer, of somebody who can replace them. So that, I mean, how do we define a leader? How do you know if you have a leader on your team? When your burden gets lighter. So if you are that leader and you are blessed enough to have 3 or 4 leaders like an Al Thomas come into your space, well, you aren't going to find an Al Thomas. He's an anomaly. But one that is like an Al Thomas or like a Byron Nelson, because there's only one Al Thomas, there's only one Byron Nelson, there's not going to be another. But there's going to be only one of you if you decide to step into those shoes. And I want to give you that foundation this morning, and really where it comes down to, and I'm going to edify Mr. Al Thomas throughout this entire part of the call. So I'm going to bypass all that you guys should already know, that he is iconic. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay. You want your life to become iconic. You want to become whatever the perception of a legend and a myth is. For me and Mr. Al Thomas, that is, I'm going to tell you what what we are and what we aspire to be in a greater sense of what people perceive as a myth and a legend is really equivalent to the greatest servant leader on the planet. That's when you become mythical. When you serve so many people, when you bless so many people, when you love on so many people, And I'm going to tap into that in this part of what we're sharing. So I have, this is a part A and a part B. I'll tell you part B at the end. But I'm going to start with the part A, which is going to lay the foundation for the part B. So the three things that I want to share in the first thing is, why is Mr. Al Thomas so extraordinary? Now, each one of you have your own adjectives and your own reasons as to why you would say he's extraordinary. Why is any great leader, a Jocelyn Driscoll or a Greg Popovich, anybody, we can use them in ACN, we can use them out of ACN, we can use a myriad of people. You can use your bishop, you can use your rabbi. Why is a person extraordinary? Let's start with that. So that what I want to do is give you a framework today. This is like my mission for the entire day, not just this call, by the way, is to deliver a message and a foundation that anybody that hears this call or this following of what I'm doing throughout the rest of the day has an outline that they can live the most amazing, ridiculous life from start to finish and accomplish everything they've ever set out to do without reservation, without the roots of your past, without your parents' scars, without your lack of parent scars, without your neighborhood, without your subpar education, whatever your mental vices are that keep you mentally incarcerated. I want to release those. I mean, it's like if you knew how to get out, because you wouldn't be on this call unless you wanted to get out. So I want to give you those things so you can figure out how to get out. The first thing, more than anything else, that Mr. Al Thomas did after he listened to this leader, and me and Mr. Al Thomas, we listened to. He studied more than I did. He was in a class a couple years before me, but we went to the same class. So when you go to the same class and you actually bring a pen and paper and you really are studying, it's really, pretty astounding that you would get the same results of greatness if you study the same people. He's had the blessing of meeting people that I didn't get a chance to meet. I've had a chance of meeting a lot of people you guys didn't get a chance to meet, such as a Jim Rohn, a Zig Ziglar, a Tom Hopkins, an Earl Nightingale. The list is very long. All these people, we all went to the same school, and the student decided to become a professor because they knew it was a responsibility to deliver the information to the student who wanted to replace them to bless the universe in such a grandiose way. So that first person, I'm using Mr. Al Thomas, what he had to do when he went and studied Zig Ziglar, when he went and studied Tom Hopkins, when he went and studied Earl Nightingale, when he went and studied, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, when he studied, and the list keeps going. Every person within the industry, outside the industry, in real estate, in network marketing, any great person he studied from, he listened until it clicked that he said, all these people are iconic because they identified themselves. Until you got to go to school, because a lot of people are like, well, I want to go to another training. Why am I going to another training? Why am I getting on another call? I hear the same thing. Why am I going to another national? Why am I going to another conference? Why am I getting on all this? I'm not getting the results I want. It's because your cell is set wrong. Your destination is wrong. I'm really going somewhere this morning. I hope you guys, Tammy, you paying attention? Because I'm gonna come through the screen and grab you. So the thing is, you have to be on a mission to find what you're looking for. What are you looking for? And most people are trying to find themselves, quite frankly. They're lost. That's a whole nother conversation, but you got to identify yourself. Do you know how powerful it is? And here's what happens. You can't identify yourself as the one. You have to identify yourself as the student that wants to be the one. You'll never know that you are the one It'd be amazed. I have people, I know people on this call. I know a lot of people on this call. I know a lot of people off this call, and they believe that they're the one. And because they believe they're the one, because they earned a title, or because they had success before this business, outside this business, somewhere else, because they believe they're one before they arrived, they have stunted their growth. They paralyze themselves. That's why their income doesn't grow. That's why their title doesn't move. That's why the Richter scale doesn't move. You got to understand something. How do you know when you are the one? When everybody other than you is saying you're the one. Until everybody else that you've served is screaming your praises as to how you've made a difference in their life, you're full of shit. Because when you become that one, when you identify yourself as that one, if you're doing what you set out to do, you never have to talk about what you're doing because you're too busy doing it. If you have to sell a prospect on being able to do something you haven't done, you haven't learned the lesson of integrity, of understanding, saying I'm broke and I want to build a dream and I never want to be here again will attract and close 100 trainers in a month versus you selling the dream of making a whole lot of money and edifying somebody else and living in this bubble because they're looking straight through you. Is anybody getting this morning? I hope somebody's getting this morning. Jesus. So number one, we're talking about being able to identify yourself. Number two, you have to let success, and I wish I had learned this lesson much earlier. I wish I had learned this lesson much earlier. You have to learn how to let everything you want come to you. How does everything that you want come to you? By showing up where you're supposed to while developing yourself. If you do everything that you're supposed to do, be at every place you're supposed to be, go to every meeting you're supposed to go to every conference and develop yourself in training, go to every place that you can develop your voice, go to every place that you can learn how to be selfless, surround yourself with an attitude, developing that cell of an attitude. If you every prospect you're looking for, every person you're looking for, every blessing you're looking for, it will find you. It's going to find you when it's supposed to find you, not when you want to find it. They say that the easiest way to hide something from somebody is to put it in plain sight. When I say identify yourself and let it come to you, who have you identified yourself to? You have to listen to this entire conversation from start to finish to really put these pieces together. Do you understand that Mr. Al Thomas, I'm using him, or Renata, Krumer, or myself, or any other leader, we are going through thousands of people to find you, but you haven't shown up. People say, I'm the one. I'll say on this call right now, I'm looking for like 5, 6, 7 beasts that I can make richer than me, greater than me, more well-spoken than me. I'm not that person who drinks the Kool-Aid who needs to sit at the top of the food chain. I can't arrive until somebody else is better than me. That's the only way myself and Mr. Thomas, any leader can actually become extraordinary, is when a voice has become greater, has taken the baton and taken it to a whole nother level. I love using the example of Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. It's an amazing, But when I say identify yourself, our phones blow up and it's like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. See, you're saying I'm ready, but you're talking about it because if you're doing it, you don't have to tell us you're ready. the questions that you ask, I love that conversation. One of my favorite lessons I've learned at the bed of Mr. Les Brown, you tell the world who you are when you open your mouth. As soon as you open your mouth, you've told on yourself. We can tell the person who truly seeks quantum leap and an extraordinary life by the questions that they ask. Not by waiting for us to spoon feed them or hold their hand or walk them or babysit them or give them private time, or we want to give private time to someone who wants it but doesn't need it. I was always that leader who wanted it. We all want validation. We all want approval. We all want daddy to be proud. We all want our leaders to but I did not need it. I was going to find my way with or without a leader ahead of me. I will sit in the back of the room. If you push me in the back of the room, still all the information become better than everybody else that's in front of the line in front of me that lives in entitlement, and show you in my actions why you should have put me in the front of the line. I will force you to recognize who the hell I am. Me being you, you being me. Is anybody getting this lesson this morning? You need to learn how to identify yourself. That's number one. I'm going to go further in that in part B. Number two, you need to learn how energy flows, inertia flows, and how to make things come to you without you looking for it. You know how many women I know looking for, if I could just find a good man, if I could just, how many men, if I could get a woman, if I could just get my, if I had the money that he had, or if I had that, or, you know, it's like, are there any good men out there? Hell, you can't find a good man because you aren't a good woman. It's real simple. There's bad women that force good men to be bad men, and there's bad men that force good women to be bad women. Because the agenda is set before they go to the table. Somebody gonna hear me this morning. I'm letting God do all the work. Promise you. I could care less. I hope I hurt somebody's feelings, because that would be God talking. Number three, you got to learn how to insert yourself in the process, no matter what it is. There's no way you're ever going to make any money in this business or any business until you're presenting. There's no way you're going to make any money until you are developing your leaders, until you're training your leaders, until you're growing with people. You don't have to be at a title position. The servant leader, Jesus had no title. Whether you believe in him or not, he had no title. He washed the basins, he washed feet. See, you serve at the highest frequency while learning in the process. You become so committed to the servant side, that the leader will by default put you in front of everybody else to teach somebody who has the right heart, who has the right mind. I have such a lofty goal. I've mapped out my life, and I'm not talking about ACN. I'm talking about my diversification and everything else. This year alone, and probably nothing close to what Mr. Al Thomas is doing, my goal is to make $100 million net this year. I know I'll make $10 million net. The reason for that goal is because I want to create so much success for so many other people that I want to take away their excuse and their skepticism and their scarcity thinking and hedge everything God gives me in abundance to take away every excuse they have to attempt anything that I offer. That's just phase one of my life. That's just the phase. It's a phase. when you put together your list, here's number 4 here. Where am I at? Okay. When you put together number 4, here's what I know Miss Al Thomas has done. I have done, and every great leader does. Even if they do it unconsciously, they do it. We first are inspired and motivated by certain people. Then, and we are in awe of other people, right? Because something has to inspire you to want to become who you want to become. A doctor is inspired by the greatest doctor. An attorney is inspired by the greatest attorney. Are you guys following me on that so far? So something has to, we emulate something that triggers us to say, I want to be like that person. For that 3%, I'm even going to say that 2%, 1%, you are before you become. So you are in that percentage, you are that 3%, that 2%, that 1% before you arrive. Because once you've identified, that's who I want to be like. If it's truly who you want to be like, and then you really identify yourself as the greatest version that God has made of only you, then you want to be better than that version because that person inspired you. That's why there was a Dr. J, then a Michael Jordan, then a Kobe. And then that's because each layer inspired the next to be, I'm the greatest. I am 2.0. I am 3.0. I am the best version coming behind. I am, but they live in gratitude and pay homage as I do to Mr. Al Thomas to say, thank you for being who you are and who you were before I even met you. So I know what I can aspire to. Now I'm gonna use physical stuff, but it really isn't about physical stuff. It's only because the masses can only relate to physical stuff. I need a plane, not because I wanna flex and floss, but because I don't have the time. It's a waste of my time standing in line, getting in coach and waiting to fly and a missed flight. And can I get here? My time becomes more valuable than me waiting at an airport. I get a driver for myself because my time is too valuable for me to drive to someone. I do this every day when I'm in mode here. Like right now, I will not drive an hour anywhere unless I will not go unless I'm taking care of my family. I'm not driving an hour. I will get a driver. I can make too many calls. I can map up. I can be writing. I can be journaling. I can be working on my book in that hour. Where another person's like, oh my God, that's $125 for an hour drive in an Uber. And in my head, I'm like, I just made $5,000 in that drive in the Uber. Because it's how you think. What you do is you make a list of who's at your table. Who's your wish list at your table? God's going to bring you people you didn't know, like he brought me and Al Thomas at my table as a friend, as a family, as a brother, as a mentor, as a coach, as a sensei, as a person, a confidant, as a prayer warrior, as a person I can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as a person, not just, this goes way beyond ACN. Al Thomas, to me, this is not made up, by the way. As an investor, how many friends do you have that you can say, hey, you know what? I just came across this deal and it's like, we can get in this piece of property for like 3 mil, but we need 300,000. Can you call 2 people right now and say, you got 100,000? You got 100,000. Let's take this over, because immediately, as soon as we buy it, we immediately have $500,000. We got at least $500,000 to $1 million of profit in it before it even hits the market. Who's at your table that you can do that? You don't start thinking like that once you get to RVP and SVP. You should be thinking like that right now. That's what I'm saying, as far as you haven't identified yourself. The universe is holding back 98% of the population because they know that they aren't worthy of that table. You're going to squander it. It's biblical. I'm only going to give you what you can handle. I'm not going to give you more than, I'm not going to give you. Is anybody getting this? Anybody taking notes? If only one person takes notes on here tonight, I'm really okay. I don't care if anybody likes me, don't like me. This is not to be, I'm not here to be liked. I have on my table, I'm just going to use examples of what has happened, and none of this is embellished. You guys already know what I've done with Mr. Les Brown and who I am to him. You already know who I am to Mr. Al Thomas. I literally had on my list Michelle Obama. And right before COVID, I had 3 billionaires say the only 2 people I want to speak on stage is you and Michelle Obama. We will finance no matter how much it costs. I had her name on my list when Obama was in office. I didn't even care about Obama. I wanted his wife. I knew who was running the show. And when her book dropped, I had George Fraser on my list. I got my list. I'm now hosting his speaking engagement at FraserNet in August as the keynote speaker. They just called me from France and Sweden to be on the board of directors of 3 banks that run the entire Eastern globe. How Bill did you think when I started talking about I want to be my own bank, it was just a thought in my head. I had no idea how it was going to happen. When Mr. Al Thomas started his bank, I'm sure he didn't know how he was going to make it happen, but it was on my board. Somebody going to show me how in the digital divide of this new money. This is all going to come together right here. Check this out. Check this out. I wrote down and I did this and see, you know why I like doing these calls? Because I don't do them for you. I do it for the person who shows up who wants it, but I really do it for me. Because I've inserted myself in my own equation that I had to go and I had to do the research. I had to go and write down the questions. I had to lay the foundation. I had to study what the hell I was going to say because I knew other people were going to be counting on me. You know why most people fail? Because ain't nobody counting on you. That's why. It's too easy to quit on you. It's easy to quit on yourself when you ain't got nobody else but the same 5 people you've had for the past 5 years still calling you on your phone and you acting like you somebody. Really? I'm sorry for all the cursing. If ACN gets this, God forbid me, this is a training. It's not new people. It's supposed to be a leadership. Just so you know, Greg, Rob, just so everybody knows. I haven't talked about any money except for my own. All disclaimers. So I really got high at a young age. I blame my father for leadership. There's something about a Negro that came from the streets, that educated himself and got 3 degrees and was in the Marines. That's a dangerous person that came from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's just because my father and I, we didn't laugh until I was like 35, 40 years old, because everything was so serious. So when you had to fight from these different dimensions, you had the discipline of the Marines, you actually got educated and you came from the streets and you know, I mean, and you grow up in that. And, you know, it's kind of like, but I didn't, that was your era. So I didn't understand what he went through, if that makes any sense. But if things are, and please write this down, things are caught, not taught. So I caught all these things about why he wanted me to be this leader, why he wanted me to go out and fight, why he wanted me to find all these different things of integrity and keep my word and not break it. And it was just crazy. So, and I'm still very flawed. I tell people I'm the most perfect person on the planet, the most perfectly flawed man you'll ever meet, but getting better every day. I actually enjoy every challenge. I enjoy every obstacle. I enjoy other people. Like, I wish if I could take anything back, I would never want to go through that divorce. First of all, you know, the devil and his friends, you know, the goblins, the goblins, and the vampires, they only got into your house because you invited them. So you can't blame that person. You let them in your house. And here's what's really crazy about people. If you don't change, the same devils show up in a different face every time. They don't go away. The same lesson keeps showing up in other people because it was never the other person. It was always you. So I was sitting there and I was putting this list together, and I said, well, what would make a person amazing? I mean, just freaking awesome in this business and everything we do. I gave you those 4 things right there. And I'm going to say this fast. You definitely going to have to get a recording of this because I want to wrap this up by 9:45, 9:48, 10 minutes tops. So check this out. I would ask you if you sat down, because myself and the leaders on here, Julian and Jocelyn and Renata and Al, and everybody else, there's other leaders on here. I can't see names or pictures on here. So, and if I left somebody out, you know, whatever. But if you sat down with me and you said, I'm ready to become amazing. I'm ready to become an SVP, paid in full, diversified, leveraged, educated, servant leader. I want to just become a boss. I want to wake up when I finish sleeping. I want to sleep for the next 2-3 days and not have to show up somewhere. People that say, I promise you, there's people who love what they do, but if their freedom, if they had their freedom ticket, they would not be doing it when they do it. Because some people have lied to themselves to keep a job. I was driving this morning to get back. I've been up all night working like feverishly. I'm on one right now. I'm in my season and I'm really excited about it. And I was driving and I was looking at all the cars going to work and taking their kids to school. And if I had to raise Cameron again, he had the best schools, best education, all our kids, my nieces, everybody. But he would not be able to go to school. I would definitely home raise him to the level that I could, and then hire teachers to come and teach him from that point forward. There's no way he would go to a regular school. I'm gonna tell you why. Not because of the subpar education that they have in the system, not only because of the education that was never his, not only because the education does not educate him in the right spaces that he needs to be educated, but because of the mental, psychological warfare conditioning of being at school at 8 o'clock and getting out at 3 until midway school and high school at 5 after school programs, that you are already psychologically screwed for the rest of your life to be programmed to think that it is okay to be employed by a nation. And that's part of everybody's challenge on here that has not broken out. You're so hardwired programmed and you have not identified yourself to find one person to completely defrag your program. You listen to a whole bunch of different people and it cleans it out and then it catches a virus. It cleans it out and it catches a virus because you have not done a deep inside cleaning of complete rewiring at the state of being pissed off to make it happen. So here we go. Check this out. Hopefully somebody got that. We're sitting down, we're doing an interview. You say, okay, Mr. Nelson, coach me. What are the things I should be doing in my life? This is a very long list. I can't even go through the whole list. I'm going to ask you, today is Friday. Did you read every day this week for a minimum of 15 minutes? Did you read every day this week? Not just your scriptures. Did you read every day for 15 minutes? Did you enroll? See, my year is already enrolled. I already have a minimum of 100,000, actually it's way more than that, $100,000 allocated to sit at the foot of leaders that have already arrived to educate myself this year. My year is booked with a minimum of 7 conferences outside of ACN to take my game to a whole nother level and make myself more valuable. How much have you invested? I did this when I was broke because I was taught this early. How much do you have invested? How much you have your rent, your mortgage, your car note, all that set aside every month. How much did you set aside by January to invest in yourself this year to become a beast? If you open up your calendar, I'm looking at it just like I'm looking for a PBR and a 3-way calls. I can tell how much you're going to make this week by looking at your 3-way calls, your Zoom calls, and your home meetings. I can tell. And I can look at your life and tell you how wealthy you're going to be by how many conferences, leadership, training you have set up for this year. And if you have but one, I can tell you why you're going to be broke for the next 5 years. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to ask you, did you call 5 people you know who are on the brink of quitting and offer them your friendship, not business coaching? And just hold space for them. I'm going to ask you, did you journal every day this week? Every day, did you sit down and write out and really be able to have one just for your thoughts? Did you actually write your goals for this week from Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday? And you had it for the month, we're at the 15th. What were your goals for the 15th, for the end of this week? What were your goals for the day? What did you have every day? Did you hit your goals for this business? You're committed, you're on here on a Friday morning. Did you hit your goal every day? Every week? Have you hit it at all this year for an entire week? For a month? If you've been in for 1 year and you can't hit your goals for 1 month, you actually hit your goals. You didn't have none. Did you look at it when you woke up in this morning? Did you have the check written for how much you're going to cash this month? I have my figure for how much I'm cashing this month. I know exactly what I'm doing. You see that? You see Mr. Al Thomas? He got a check. He wrote himself a check. He knows how much he has to get paid. We have employed ourselves. And we aren't talking about a check from a job from the school system, the paramedics, the teachers, the plumbers. We aren't talking, we're talking about what we're paying ourselves. What I'm worth, how much I'm willing to work for what I want. And look at it every moment, every day. It wakes me up, it keeps me up. Did you work out? Did you at least walk every day for at least 30 minutes? Every day. Did you work out every day? This is part A. Remember, I got part B. I'm about to wrap this up. All this plays a part in everything. Did you drink a gallon of water every day? No, not a half a gallon, not just a pint. Are you drinking a gallon of water every day? Did you intentionally make 5 people smile? I do it before 11 o'clock every day. Every day, I go out of my way to find 5 people. Now, I almost cursed a woman out coming back here to this office this morning, and I had to catch myself and talk to God because I was like, what the hell is wrong? And I was like, you know what? Don't judge. But anyway, that's another conversation. Did you pray out of gratefulness, not out of need? Every problem that I have, every obstacle that I have, every strain, do you know how excited I am about it? I'm so excited about my problems because once I fix them, I'm having so many breakthroughs. I got flow coming in every area of my life right now. Now, am I impeded by that which is around me and the people that I love? Yes, because if I'm in a position that I can't help somebody, I'm still hurting. But my problems, I enjoy. I look for them. Frustrating as hell, but oh my God, when you fix it, you're still here, you're still alive. You fixed every problem or the problem fixed you that you had. Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive on this call. Did you practice your presentation? Remember I said insert yourself. Are you practicing your presentation every day? I'll tell you why you aren't making money. You didn't practice your presentation. You didn't study the marketing plan. Can you tell me about the marketing plan frontwards and backwards? I need to understand the marketing plan. If you can't give me a presentation, tell me about the marketing plan, products and services effectively in 5 minutes and close me at the same time, that just tells me that you don't know anything about your business. See, we work harder on our business than we do trying to get people in it. So that when we meet the right person to get in, we're prepared. Conversation for another. to be effective. The list gets longer and longer. Now, I want you to see something for 5 minutes, and I'm gonna wrap up after that and turn it back over to my mentor and my best friend on this call. I want you to see something real quick. And this is a gentleman, like at my table, like I'm already doing a speaking engagement with them, but he doesn't know he's doing the forward on my second book. He will know before this year is out. But everything that I just shared with you, you're gonna hear what it all comes to in 5 minutes. Why I asked you, do you all do all those things? And I only hit a fraction of them. There's actually a list of probably about 200 things that you should be doing every day. And I promise you, nobody on this call is doing 1/10 except for Mr. Al Thomas. And I'll tell you why. And maybe 2 other people on this call that I may not be able to see. I'm gonna tell you why. Because they didn't master what you're about to hear wrapped up in less than 5 minutes. I'm about to show you right now. Just watch this, just watch, just pay attention. And you'll see who's doing the forward on my second book. In addition to Mr. Al Thomas, I'm having two people, and he's doing the second, he's doing it. But here, just check this out. And you might want to write it down, the title, and go back and listen to it 5 times today. I'm just telling you.
Do you love your wife? Yes. Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her. Now you love her, right? Tell me the day the love happened. It's an impossible question. But it's not that it doesn't exist, it's that it's much easier to prove over time, right? Leadership is the same thing. It's about transitions. So if you were to go to the gym, it's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, like in a relationship, I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday, and she doesn't love me. Clearly I'll give up. That's not what happens. If you believe there's something there, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two. You know, it allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. And the same with the relationship. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes, right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. So the problem is we treat leadership with intensity. We have a 2-day offsite, we invite a bunch of speakers, we give everybody a certificate, you're a leader, right? Those things are like going to the dentist. They're very important. They're good for reminding us or getting us back on track, learning new lessons. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things that she woke up one day and as if she pressed a button, she goes, I love him, right? Leadership is exactly the same. There's no event. There's no thing I can tell you you have to do that your people will trust you. It just doesn't work that way. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. Literally, pointless by themselves. People will look at little things that are good leadership practices and say, that won't work, and you're absolutely right. But if you do it consistently, and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, like saying good morning to someone, that looking them in the eye. My friend George, who's a 3-star general in the Marine Corps, he says his test for leadership, and I love this, he goes, his test for a good leader is if you ask somebody how their day is going, you actually care about the answer. The number of times we're walking to a meeting, we're rushing, we go, how are you? Not good, I got to get to you later, I'm late for a meeting. Right. If you ask the question, you were standing there and you were listening to the answer. It's those little innocuous things that you do over and over and over and over that people will say, I love my job. Not I like my job. I like my job means, yeah, the challenge is great, they pay me well, I like the people. I love my job means, I don't want to work anywhere else. I don't care how much somebody else is willing to pay me. I'm devoted to the people here, and I care desperately about the people here as if they were my family. In business, we have colleagues and coworkers. In the military, they have brothers and sisters. That's how they think of each other. If you really have a strong corporate culture, the people will think of each other like brothers and sisters. It's like a family, right? No, brothers and sisters. Deep love. Fight, but the love doesn't go away. Bicker, the love doesn't go away. And I'll fight with my sister, but if you threaten my sister, you're gonna have to deal with me, right? We'll fight internally, we'll bicker with each other, but nobody's gonna hurt each other. And if anything from the outside shows up, you're looking at a unified front. Brothers and sisters. Now, how do you create brothers and sisters out of strangers? Common beliefs, common values, parents, in other words, executives who care about their children's success, who care to raise their children, teach them skills, discipline them when necessary, help them build their self-confidence so that they can go on and achieve something more than you could have ever imagined achieving for yourself. That's leadership.
When it comes to leadership, it is a countless amount of unconditional hours that becomes a lifestyle. A lifestyle. Mr. Al Thomas called me at a time, and he always calls me, but he called me at a time to say, I don't need anything or want anything. I just want to know you're okay. I'm praying for you. He was one of only 2 people during that season that actually called me. There was a peer that I had reverence for and that I respected. Lost a lot of respect for a lot of people during that season. Because I always did what he did. So to not get it back meant that in my conversation with God, I was sowing seed in the wrong fields. My girl has cancer. She can't sleep. She went through radiation. She's gone through chemo. She has neuropathy. Her nerves are off the chain. I was in a zone this morning. I have not slept. I went there early this morning to walk the dog, to make sure she did not have to wake up and walk the dog. I didn't look for a thank you. I'm not looking for gratitude. My mom, I took her out and we took care of everything with her, and I went to go see her yesterday. I was only going for 20 minutes because I'm refinancing one of my properties. It ended up costing me 3 hours because she wanted to just share. And she thought I was too busy. Mom, I'm never too busy for you. I'll sit here till the sun comes up. I took 20 people to dinner 2 nights ago. I knew a few of them couldn't even afford where I was taking them. One actually asked, what was the cost? Do I have to, what I said, don't ask me a question. If you can't afford to come, you shouldn't come. It wasn't about money. It was her mentality that I was talking into. Obviously, when it was done, nobody pays when I go out. I just wanted to bring them together. I invited a guy who I know is at the top of the food chain in the entertainment industry. The world knows him. You guys know him. I won't bring up the name, but so many people are revered at a certain level that they don't have anybody else to turn to. I invited him out, took him to have coffee, and just hugged him. He started crying. He's like, how did you know? I said, it's how God made me. I've been doing this. Al Thomas has been doing this. Leaders do this. They eat last. they don't do it with an expectation. And they do it for people that are the same spirit. Learn to cut the spirits that are not of the same spirit. There's 5 things that will give you an amazing life. I'm going to do a Facebook Live at 10:15 for those that have the luxury of being on. I would love for you to join me and chime in and share. It's going to add to what this is and close out what I'm sharing. But I pray everything, and I'll be on happy hour later as well. But I pray that somebody got in less than 5 minutes what Simon Sinek just shared. What it takes is a lifestyle commitment to being great. You don't do one thing, one event, one this, one I'm going to get 50 customers, I'm going to hit ETT. If you learn how to play the game of just finishing what you start, everything else, if you just played the game in ACN of finishing SVP, everything else will be delivered to you. Because you're chasing all the wrong things within the compensation plan, within the money, or within the people, or the emotional ties, without developing yourself. It really, this is the thing I can say with the greatest amount of authenticity, genuineness, and transparency and integrity. It is really the greatest self-development program with the compensation plan in the entire industry. And whether you make $100 or $100,000, per year, per month, or per day, I promise you, when you complete the task and finish what you started, you have no idea what God has waiting for you. You don't even have a bank account that can hold what he's going to pour into it. And I'm not just talking money. God bless. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Mr. Al Thomas, the floor is yours.